If you're gonna book your next vacation, don't plan on these places being on the itinerary. It's time to take a look at some of the most secure and prohibited areas you will never get to visit. But before we depart, how about a bite to eat? Number 20. Daemon Beirel and Sukiyabashi Jiro. Getting a reservation for dinner can be a pain, but you've never experienced anything like these two restaurants. First, located in the small town of Earlton, New York, you'll find Daemon Beirel, a small restaurant hosting a massive tasting menu designed by the titular chef. It's the hottest ticket in town, with the waiting list for the intimate meal stretching back not weeks, not months, but years. In fact, with the waiting list at more than a decade, the restaurant has had to suspend new applications to try to work their way through the long line of devotees. But that hasn't stopped fans from scanning the website for a chance at a surprise opening. But it's nothing compared to this next restaurant. Sukiyabashi Jiro was already the hottest ticket in Tokyo, a tiny sushi restaurant owned by the master sushi chef Jiro Ono. With only 10 seats, it was already impossible to get in. And then came a documentary profiling the restaurant and its famous chef, as well as a visit from President Barack Obama. Today, the restaurant is so in demand that it doesn't even take reservations from the public. The only way in is to inquire at the front desk of the luxury hotel it's based in, and have any chance of even being considered, you'll need to be accompanied by a local. It's not the only place for food and refreshment that isn't open to the public. Number 19. White's. Welcome to London, known around the world for its hospitality. But if you're looking to get into one specific building on St. James Street, it will not be easy. White's is considered the oldest and most exclusive gentlemen's club in London, greeting guests since 1693, most of them among the city's elites. The first and second men in line for the British crown, Prince Charles and Prince William, are both members, as is former Prime Minister David Cameron. For those lucky to get in, they'll find a dining room, a billiards room, and a library. But to get in, you need to be part of a specific group. White's is one of the few gentlemen's clubs in London that takes its name seriously. No women are allowed. This is a tradition dating back to its founding. And while many have advocated for it to change its ways, this old boys club is holding firm. In 2018, a group of women dressed as men to sneak their way in and protest, but were quickly removed. However, the club did make one rare exception to this policy in 1991. After all, when the Queen of England wants to pop in for a visit, you don't say no. But for any men looking to drop in for a drink on their next visit, do not count on it, it is still members only. But this next place in Britain is even more secure. Number 18. Menwith Hill. In the sprawling nature-filled county of North Yorkshire, it's still easy to get lost exploring the beautiful sights, but make sure you don't wander too close to Menwith Hill. This wide-reaching Royal Air Force station near Harrogate can be identified by the large white domes peeking out from the flat country lands. While it's owned by the British Ministry of Defence, it's also used by the US Department of Defense as part of a mutual defense agreement, as well as other agreements that have not been made public. And only authorized personnel are allowed anywhere near the inner workings. So what's going on that makes it so secret? Menwith Hill is one of the biggest hubs of communications and intelligence between the two longtime allies. It's a satellite ground station that receives contact from space, both from satellites the government launches and potentially from anything else, like aliens. It's also one of the first places that will receive a warning of an incoming missile strike, which makes its security and ability to respond quickly extremely important to the government. Not only is it heavily guarded, but a 2006 law specifically makes it a crime to trespass on the grounds. Now let's head to the east, to the European mainland. Number 17. Pravchitska Brana. Located in the Czech Republic in the region known as Bohemian Switzerland, is a stunning sight. It's one of the few true natural bridges in the world, a rock formation spanning the gap between two large rock bluffs. It's the largest natural sandstone arch in Europe and became a popular tourist site. A hotel was built there in 1850, allowing people to stay within a close view of the Czech landmark. The site's fantastical nature made it a popular site for filming, including several scenes from the first movie in the Chronicles of Narnia series. But one experience is now permanently off limits. Climbing on and crossing the arch was a popular pastime, and tourists ran over it again and again and again and again. The constant tourism took its toll, and the natural bridge suffered heavy erosion. In 1982, the government decided to put the bridge itself off limits and ban anyone from crossing it. While the Falcon's Nest Hotel remains open and tourists can visit the site for a fee, those iconic photo shoots of people crossing the bridge are no more, due to too much of a good thing. Now it's time to head down under. Number 16. Pine Gap. The massive Northern Territory of Australia, you'll find a sleepy town of Alice Springs. And about 11 miles southwest, you'll find Australia's most secure location, Pine Gap. This massive site was created in a joint operation of the Australian and United States governments, which usually indicates that you're not getting in. Like Menwith Hill, it's a communication site that tracks man-made satellites and conducts research into the signals received from space. But it's also one of the country's most advanced surveillance facilities, with management help coming in from the CIA and the NSA, among others. And they want to make sure you don't get anywhere near it. The site was created during the Cold War to counter the Soviet space program and soon hosted hundreds of American families. Today, it's key to sending spy satellites around the world, and it's too far inland for signals to be intercepted by spy ships. While the site is occasionally subject to protests from anti-war groups and indigenous rights activists, they only get as far as protesting outside the gates. The inner workings of Pine Gap will never be seen by anyone without the proper clearance. What's this next site for? Don't ask, they won't tell you. Number 15. Mizhgorye. Welcome to Russia. Come explore lovely Mizhgorye, a town of around 17,000 located in the southern Ural Mountains in the Republic of Bashkortostan. And while you're here, enjoy the many activities such as classified, and classified. But don't worry about it, you won't be staying. Mizhgorye is a closed town, only open to current residents or those with prior authorization. Its town leadership answers directly to the federal government of Russia, and anything going on inside is highly classified. What's going on in there anyway? The closed town system dates back to the Soviet Union era, and while many have been abandoned or open to the public, security in Mizhgorye remains as strict as ever. Most closed towns are near sensitive military activity, but there is no confirmation of whether any military bases are nearby. And given Russia's infamously strict security rules, it's unlikely any outsiders will be getting any answers, or any insiders will be giving them out. This town's fancy welcome sign is likely to remain an iconic site. But many forbidden locations are there to protect nature. Number 14. Farallon Islands. Off the coast of San Francisco, eagle-eyed ocean navigators can spot a collection of rocky islands. The Farallon Islands have a more menacing name among mariners, the Devil's Teeth Islands, for the many sharp outcroppings and shoals that can tear holes in boats if mariners don't give the rocks a wide berth. They're dangerous enough to make many people steer clear of the treacherous location, but they wouldn't have a choice. The Farallon Islands are deserted except for a small research station on one island, and they're going to stay that way as a protected national wildlife refuge. So what is the government trying to protect? The sea around the Farallons was used as a nuclear waste dump for years, endangering the wildlife, but it's currently a protected area since 1969. They play host to a huge colony of seabirds, including 12 distinct species. These birds lay so many eggs that it became a source of conflict between egg companies during the gold rush. It's also a home for 5 species of seal, and the surrounding waters are home to sharks and whales. It's like a huge natural zoo, except there is no popcorn cart and the admissions line is permanently closed. Now let's head deep down below. Number 13. Cave of Altamira. Not far from a historic town in Cantabria, Spain, those who wander into a cave complex can find themselves transported back in time. The Cave of Altamira has played host to some of the earliest examples of human art, created around 36,000 years ago, when cavemen created illustrations of their world with charcoal and other pigments. Discovered in 1868, it became one of the world's most important archaeological sites, and countless tourists came to bear witness to a critical piece of history. At least they used to. It's a common scene in these forbidden sites, too much of a good thing. Tourists came to the Cave of Altamira and came until the UNESCO World Heritage Site became endangered. The culprit damaging the ancient paintings, the carbon dioxide and water vapor being exhaled by all the tourists in the cave. The decision was made to close it to the public for good in 2002 after years of very limited access. A replica cave built nearby allows visitors to get an idea of the sights within, but the genuine article remains locked away, maybe forever. From ancient humans to mysterious meetings, let's head back to the USA. Number 12. Bohemian Grove. Remember going to summer camp as a kid? It felt like you had the great outdoors all to yourself and all the other kids for the low price of whatever your parents paid. Well, in San Francisco, at a private campground called Bohemian Grove, some other people are having that same experience. The only difference is that they are some of the most powerful people in the world. The admission is a lot more difficult, and those luminaries are definitely not eating the same lunchroom mystery meat you did at Camp Wooga Wooga. And to get in, it's all about who you know. Bohemian Grove has an all-male membership, including several former presidents like Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon. The club is hard to get into at the best of times, with it being open to private events during the off-season, but the hottest ticket of all is a 2-week July camp event where the most powerful men in the world hold court. The site has even hosted meetings critical to national security, like planning meetings for the Manhattan Project. Former military personnel guard the site, and the club motto is "Weaving spiders come not here." The outside world is left at the door, and it stays there. What else can the rich buy? How about an entire island in New York? Number 11. Robins Island. To find most of these places, you've got to go pretty far off the beaten path. This is not the case for Robins Island, which is just off the eastern end of Long Island. But it's different from other islands in the area in one big way. It's privately owned. It was deeded to William Alexander in 1636 and has changed hands several times since. Back then, it was primarily used as an island for private hunting. While Suffolk County intended to purchase it and turn it into a nature preserve, those plans were tied up in court, and the island was bought at bankruptcy court by Wall Street businessman Louis Bacon, and he's transformed it completely. Bacon was an ambitious man, and he restored the often neglected island by planting massive oak trees and culling non-native flora and fauna. While he still uses it for hunting, particularly bringing guests for pheasant hunts, the island has become somewhat of a nature preserve. It now has one of the strongest turtle populations in the state. Not that you will be able to see it. Bacon keeps a tight grip on the island's security, and no one is allowed to explore its grounds and farms without his permission. When it comes to this next island, you'll be kept away for your own safety. Number 10. Morgan Island. The Sea Islands are a tiny cluster of islands off the coast of South Carolina, and almost all of them are open to tourism. Most are known for being home to the Gula people, a unique African-American culture with their own language. While visiting these islands is welcome under some circumstances, Morgan Island is a very different story. No one is allowed on this island, be it the local Gulans or tourists from around the country. But its residents might want you to come, especially if you're bringing treats for them. Because Morgan Island belongs to rhesus monkeys. Lots and lots of rhesus monkeys. The island was historically uninhabited due to its isolated location, but when a primate research center in Puerto Rico had trouble with containment, South Carolina stepped up. A colony of rhesus monkeys was relocated there, over 1,400 in 1979. Today, that's grown to about 3,500, and they have free run of the island. Only researchers are allowed to be on the island, and even they keep their interaction to a minimum. The colony of monkeys is kept fed with automated systems, and the entire area is protected, both to protect the monkeys and to keep them from bringing viral outbreaks to the mainland. But deep in South America is an even more isolated island. Number 9. Yanomami Indigenous Territory. Most of these forbidden areas are relatively small, but bordering Venezuela is a sprawling area of over 23 million acres. This is the Yanomami Indigenous Territory, and it's home to a diverse group of indigenous residents who speak 5 distinct languages. While it had a population of fewer than 10,000 people in 1989, that has more than doubled since. The region has been designated a protected area, and the government battles to keep illegal mining, fishing, and hunting parties out to protect the Yanomami's unique culture, because many of the people living there have never contacted the outside world. While the Yanomami do not recognize themselves as a single group, they are categorized as one by the government to protect their sovereignty. The tribes still function mainly as they did centuries ago, with each village having its own leader and the group having no centralized government. While there has been some pressure to shrink the territory in recent years to grant more fishing and forestry rights to big business, the government is careful to make sure no one interferes with the Yanomami way of life, and entry is strictly regulated. But protecting nature and cultures aren't the only reasons places are kept on tight lockdown. Number 8. Navassa Island. It doesn't look like much, a small uninhabited island in the Caribbean Sea northeast of Jamaica. But if you talk to people about Navassa Island, you're likely to get some pretty tense arguments because this little outcropping has been a source of conflict between Haiti and the United States for well over a century. Haiti makes its claim on the island dating back to the Treaty of Ryswick in 1697, which designated French control over Hispaniola. The United States, meanwhile, claims that Navassa was never included and that it gained possession of the islands in 1856. So, what's on this island that both sides want so much? First, it was a good source for guano, the bird and bat poop that makes a good organic fertilizer. The island is heavily frequented by seabirds and was so loaded with guano that it became a mining operation. Since then, it's been used as a base for a lighthouse and is now currently a nature preserve for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Because of the rough waters along the coast and the vulnerable wildlife, the U.S. prohibits access to the general public. This also sidesteps frequent border conflicts with Haiti over tourism. That's enough exploring. Now how about a nice relaxing trip to the museum? Number 7. Jiangsu National Security Education Museum. Museums are a great place to learn. Whether it's classic works of art, historical artifacts, or giant dinosaur skeletons, there's something for everyone. unless it's the Jiangsu National Security Education Museum in Nanjing, China. This museum pays tribute to the country's vast security system, showing off formerly classified secrets such as guns disguised as lipstick, secret maps hidden in the decks of cards, and hollow coins, and other cloak and dagger secrets of the Chinese government, and it's become a popular tourist attraction. But don't buy your tickets just yet. There's one unusual requirement to enter the museum that you definitely won't find at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They're only letting Chinese citizens enter. While most of the secrets contained within are no doubt a thing of the past, or they wouldn't be on display, the government is still notoriously tight-lipped about their classified info. They don't want their secrets getting out to the world at large, and so for anyone planning a trip to China, you might want to consider watching a movie instead. This next site became famous worldwide, so the door slammed shut. Number 6. Koh Phi Phi Lee. It's one of the most stunning locations in the world. An island on the Krabi province of Thailand with shockingly blue waters surrounded by lush greens. The steep milestone hills provide shade from the clear sun, and the bioluminescent plankton below makes the sea seem alive with color. It's no wonder that it was chosen as the filming site for the Leonardo DiCaprio film The Beach in 2000. But that brought serious consequences with it. Much of the area surrounding the beach was raised to make filming easier, displacing a lot of natural elements. And then came the tourists. DiCaprio was the hottest actor in the world at the time, and countless people wanted to be where he was. In 1 year alone, over 1 million tourists came to the beach, 3/4 of which were from abroad. The natural paradise was more endangered than ever, so the government took action. As of 2019, the only ones with access to the stunning blues of Maya Bay are going to be the native wildlife, because it's closed to tourists indefinitely. Guess Americans will have to settle for their local beach boardwalk this year. And now for something completely different. This isn't just one location. Number 5. Google Data Centers. Do you know how much of your life Google runs? The massive tech company not only runs the world's most popular search engine, it probably runs your email and maybe your laptop. Not to mention how you get your news and every time you look up a cat video on YouTube. A lot of data runs through the company's servers, and they're not going to put those servers just anywhere or just in one place. A hacking attack could be devastating, so Google has data center facilities all over the world, containing massive drives managing the data of billions. And they're amongst the most secure facilities in the world. It's believed that Google has at least 2.5 million servers, and they're spread out across dozens of locations on at least 4 continents. Any hacker looking to break in and cause chaos should probably think twice. All of them are within carefully fenced-off locations, with only vetted Google employees allowed inside. In 2013, Google began encrypting their data, making these data centers much harder to hack. This means you don't need to worry. No one's going to get into the embarrassing contents of your Gmail archives. And speaking of vast networks, let's head back to Russia and go underground. Number 4. Metro 2. Let's turn back the clock to the Cold War, when the Soviet Union was in intense competition with the United States. Joseph Stalin wanted to build up Russia's infrastructure, and so he ordered the construction of Metro 2, a second secret underground subway system that could transport people, classified objects, and documents around the city without being detected by spies. The supposed underground tunnel network has been said to be vast, but some of the wilder claims have been said to be the stuff of conspiracy theorists. But the US government believes Metro 2 exists. Evidence indicates it was likely never fully completed, with one line built connecting the Kremlin to Moscow State University and several other sites. While plans may have been created for future lines, they were never likely completed. As for how to get into the ruins of Metro 2, the Russian government still isn't talking, and the US government only has decades-old intelligence to work off of. It hasn't stopped daring urban explorers from searching Russia's metro, trying to find that secret entryway to the mysterious lost subway line. This next secret location takes you to the happiest place on Earth. Number 3. Cinderella's Castle Suite. The Magic Kingdom is the most beloved park in Walt Disney World, and towering over it all is Cinderella's Castle, the massive landmark at the center. Most people can only get into the castle for a meal, but what if you could actually stay at the castle overnight? Few people know that high in the castle is exactly one hotel room, a stunning suite fit for royalty with a view of the entire park. It's the one-of-a-kind Disney vacation experience that many wealthy Disney fans would pay any price for. But getting up there isn't easy. Initially, the suite was built only for personal guests of the Disney family, and it's not clear if it was ever used. It was never open to the general public for obvious reasons, like they don't want people staying in the theme park after it closes. But all that changed when they hosted the Year of a Million Dreams, a 2007 event that let people enter a contest to win a night in the legendary suite. A select few people got to stay in the princess-themed suite, and they're no doubt getting a lot of questions about it, because to this day they're the only lucky ones that ever laid their heads there. This next location might be one of the most sacred places in human history. Number 2. Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. In the Ethiopian town of Tigray, worshippers of the Ethiopian Orthodox Christian faith attend a historic church that dates back over 1,500 years. It's been expanded multiple times since then, but still contains the old church last rebuilt in the 16th century. But those who come to worship will soon realize that it isn't any old church. There's a chapel that's off limits to everyone, heavily guarded by trained temple guards. That's because this church supposedly holds the Ark of the Covenant. The vessel supposedly containing the original tablets of the Ten Commandments is one of the most sought-after artifacts in existence, and the church has become a site of religious pilgrimages. While there is no confirmation that the artifact within is authentic, the Ethiopian government won't allow anyone to investigate it. Many people have tried to get in. In the recent war in the region, Eritrean militants staged a vicious attack on the church, perhaps to get to the chapel. While a prominent British professor, Edwin Uhlendorf, claims the Ark to be a hoax, no one is getting close enough to find out anytime soon. Finally, let's get to the original no man's land. Number 1. Zone Rouge. World War I was brutal, so brutal in fact that the consequences are still echoing over a century later. In the aftermath, the war's fiercest battlefields of France were designated no-go zones due to the extreme damage and danger. The area covered more than 460 square miles and was determined to be incompatible with human life. Not only was living there prohibited, but farming and forestry were banned as well. Towns that had been destroyed were never rebuilt. What is lurking in the soil of the Zone Rouge? While the area has shrunk significantly and only zones in the red are still off limits, these areas are still dangerous over a century later. Some areas are loaded with unexploded shells, some of which might still be capable of releasing poison gas. Grenades and ammunition litter the area, while the soil remains toxic with the remnants of poison gas like chlorine and arsenic. The ground also contains mass amounts of human and animal remains. In many of these places, the soil is so poisoned that not even plants can grow there, a grim reminder of some of humanity's darkest years. Want more places not on your next vacation list? Check out Prohibited Areas No Human Should Ever Visit.